The next session will be conducted in English. We have a panel titled Reality Check: How AI Unblocks the World of Art and Entertainment Business, powered by Flare Communications. The panel will be moderated by Ms. Bastian Wong, CEO and founder of Flare Communications Group. Welcome, Ms. Wong. Please welcome Ms. Wong to the stage. And our panelists include Ms. Leslie Deng, founder and managing director of Fineapple Asia Limited. Please welcome Leslie. Also, Mr. Alan Chen, general manager of Hong Kong and Taiwan at Adobe. Welcome, Alan. And also Professor Rujing Stacy Hong, Assistant Professor, Department of Music, the University of Hong Kong, and Director of the AI Song Contest Foundation. Welcome, Stacy. To enhance audience interaction, we have added a live Slido poll for this panel. When prompted by our speaker, please scan the QR code at the top right. Select Aspire stage and submit your response. Ms. Wong, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very happy to have you all here. And today we have three very powerful panel speakers joining us today. So today we're actually looking at a very interesting title: How AI Unlocks the World of Entertainment and Art Business. So I think all of us are actually standing at the intersection of technology and creativity. And we can imagine how AI helps us to produce stunning art visuals, composing music and graphic and art, all kinds of creativity work that you can all imagine. So today we are very happy that we have three very powerful panel speakers joining us today to share with us their insight and the application and their area of concern in their field of expertise. So first of all, we have Mr. Alan Chan, the General Manager of Adobe, Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and second of all, we have Ms. Leslie Tsang, founder and managing director of Fineapple Asia.
Thank you, Bastian.
And then we also have Professor Stacy Huang, assistant professor, Department of Music, the University of Hong Kong, and director of AI Song Contest Foundation of AI, Academic and Innovation Perspective.
Thank you, Bastian.
Yeah. So a very, very quick question to all of you, the three of you on the stage. Just a very, very quick one-word answer, okay? So the question is, are we ahead or behind in AI in your expertise, in your field of expertise?
I think we're behind.
You're behind.
But maybe it's just the beginning.
Okay. And Ellen?
Definitely ahead.
Ahead, okay. And
Okay.
Professor?
I'm going to say, no, I'll vote for behind.
You vote for behind?
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of music industry, you think we're behind?
Yeah.
Okay, but we are getting there,
Yeah.
right? Okay, very good. Okay, pass on to you, our very dear audience. So we will have an audience poll right now, and we want to see how you think about, would you let AI handle your creative process? Okay, so you can quickly scan the QR code and then give us a vote on what you think. A few seconds, right? Well, for myself, I'm from marketing, PR, and communication. Wow. It's really outstanding. We have 71, almost 60% of you guys say yes, right? Why not, right? Well, as for me, I'm from PR, branding, and marketing. You know, in our field, basically, we all vote for AI assistance or support, help in our industry. So today, we'll be very much looking forward to the three of you to give us more insight on how AI helped in your industry. Okay, so first of all, I would like to take a look at how AI as a creative catalyst, how it helped in your industry. So the first question is for Ellen.
Sure.
So Ellen, Adobe's Firefly, the application and other AI tools are being used by millions of creatives worldwide, right? How do you balance between originality and the over-reliance of AI?
Well, that's actually a very good question, especially the over-reliance on AI. From our perspective, we never, over-reliance on AI. It's still focusing on the creativity. And Adobe's mission has never been changed. We want to unleash everyone's creativity. And AI is always as an assistance, right? So no matter this is for amateur photographers or professional designers, right? So for those who have used Photoshop before, okay, you might encounter the features called, removing the backgrounds. That have been exist for quite some time, right? Quite years, but that's already harnessing the power of AI that you don't know because we don't sell you AI because it's embedded in the tools to help you. So entering the era of Gen AI, you never change. It's the same. That Gen AI is the tools to help the creator to be more effective. Okay, and maybe I can say example. Can you take just one, yeah. The Gen AI, especially Gen AI, the one of the things that can help the creative professional is to inspire them to have ideations, right? When you don't have any ideas, you start from the prompt. And this is one of our products called Express. You just want to create a poster for the concert, and this is for you, right? But it's also rely on your own creativity to how to adjust it, putting your own thoughts around and becoming your own creative content. So it's never replacing your own creativities.
Yeah, so originality is in the core, right? Okay. And the next question is for Leslie, Fineapple. How is AI changing the way that you look for the skill sets of your artists? And are AI fluent talents, that is something like the virtual talents, right? More now available than the traditional ones. So how do you think about it?
I think, first of all, I think AI can't truly replace talents or creators or artists. I think people still look for what Alan just mentioned, our originality, being authentic, and having that emotional element when we talk about artists. Especially when we talk about artists, a lot of times we talk about culture. We have live experiences. We have talent backgrounds that you can't truly replace with AI. Especially, I think people like to look at how real humans interact. So talents are humans, right? I think, and also looking at their vulnerability of how I think we have a slide here. Oh, back one. The Elvis slide. Yes. So if you look at the slide, there's the Elvis. We're just showing. There's actually a show in London. It's a virtual show that brings Elvis back to life. And you can see in one side with the very blurry picture. That's the fake Elvis. It's actually a live show. So the question is, which do you prefer? The real Elvis with the blood and sweat or the fake Elvis?
Which one? The virtual one? Anyone? Or the real one? Of course, right? I prefer the real one too. So after all, it's Elvis.
To answer your question, I think traditional talents, as we have AI become smarter, traditional talents will become more rare. It will become more expensive. So I think becoming more AI savvy would be a plus, of course.
Right. Thank you, Leslie. And the next question is for Professor. So AI can compose music in split seconds, right? So does this actually threaten musicians? And, or is it just another instrument or technology that helps music composition? What's your view on that?
Should I have the
Oh,
clicker
yes.
for maybe some examples? Yes, very great question. An important one, I think. So if I go, yes. So I think the answer for me is both. We definitely have musicians who are feeling threatened in their work, in their domain of practice. We definitely have musicians who feel like their creativity is actually enhanced and further extended. So in my work, so as you heard in the introduction, I'm one of the directors for a nonprofit foundation that's called the AI Song Contest based in the Netherlands. So it's basically a competition that explores precisely this question, right? The possibilities of human co-creation with AI in songwriting. So it's basically a songwriting contest. Let's see. Right, so this started in 2020 before the ChatGPT boom. So some of the earlier reportings on right, the questions can if robots can make music, but can they sing? Let's see. Oh, what happened? Yes. So yeah, some of the fun industry collaboration we had. We put together the first AI artist residency with Sony in France a few years back, and you can see this is from the early years, and we already see so many interests. Back in 2021, early 2021, from many different countries. And actually, the exciting news that I could share today, actually this is fresh today, that we're now looking at the possibility of bringing AI Song Contest 2026 to Hong Kong. So this will be the first non-European host so far. So yeah, and it's actually as a competition, it has inspired similar competitions globally. This is one based in the States, Human Machine Song Contest. And you can see very fun album arts, right? A lot of them, most of them AI generated. So we're thinking of, for instance, should we do a new award category for the best album cover this year? And I think, yeah, the question, just very briefly, this is the book I want to recommend to our audience today, because, we've been dropping these very big concepts, right? Like talent, skill, creativity, art, and it's just what, of course, it's on everyone's mind when we talk about AI creativity. And as a scholar, as a musicologist, what's slightly different in academia is that we really dive into these concepts deep, right? I teach an entire course, a semester course on the nature of creativity, the philosophy of creativity. So this is one interesting book that basically talks about like the relationship between present materials and past materials, the idea of recycling from the past. And it's interesting when we think about AI, right? Machine learning, the logic behind machine learning in terms of remixing, recycling, rearranging existing materials. So, right, it's pretty spot on the idea of creativity. So finally, right, if for AI Song Contest, it's just a concrete example, I might bring this up. The next few minutes is just, we definitely look at a process. So it's a very process-driven competition. And this is not perfect. This is just past models of how we judge. There's a very complicated, well-thought-out kind of jury voting and scoring process, right? The competition actually requires the contestants to not only produce a track, a song, but also write a very extensive document of the process in which they precisely have to answer, do you see AI as a tool, as your collaborator, as part of your team, or it's just a tool? And we definitely see both answers, and even the question of replacement, both answers.
Right. So in general, we will see human AI co-creativity. That will be the core concept of
this is one
of
example of the process
Wow.
document. It's pretty, you can see it's pretty labor intensive, I would say.
Exactly.
So the human work is definitely not replaced here.
Okay.
Heavy human work.
Right. Thank you. So next, maybe we can address a little bit about economic shift. Okay, we always talk about, will AI replace human workforce? Will AI take over our job, right? So the first question is for Ellen, okay?
Yep.
So in your field, do you think this will be disrupting the creative process and make people less creative? make people less creative?
Well, I think as I mentioned before, maybe can you move on the slides? Yep. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I guess as I mentioned, it's still an AI is still as an assistant for to help the creator to be more productive, right? Okay, and especially in nowadays, there's a digital first world. It's not digital world; it's a digital first world, right? So the digital content or asset that you need to create is actually enormous, and the demand is enormous, right? So it exerts a lot of pressure to those creators, creative professionals, no matter it's artists or even a marketers, right? They need to deal with a lot of content creations, okay? And so they need to be more creative to leverage AI, okay? And the way that I mentioned, first of all, is let a Gen AI to help you to do ideations, right? The other perspective of this is maybe how they can assist you to do repetitive tasks, take off the repetitive tasks you have, okay, and so that you can have more time to be creative. An example of this is like this, right? If you have a will, okay, to create and then want to publish, right, and you want to publish to the world, before you need to do a lot of captionings, okay, and now you may just harness, the power of Gen AI using a Premiere Pro, and you can have all the language, all the captions automatically in different language done for you, so you can have more time to do the creative.
Okay.
Itself, yeah.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. And the next question, it's a very popular question too. It's for Leslie, actually. When we come to AI-generated content, such as art and music, should AI-trained voice, the voice, pay royalties?
Well, I think this goes into some copyright. So first of all, AI material is not copyrightable at the moment, but only if there's a significant human contribution in the work, then it's copyrightable. But it's debatable how much human contribution is enough to be copyrightable. Back to your question about the voice in AI, I have a little story that we can share. The clickers, thank you. Ooh. Nope. Am I going the wrong way? No. Oh, no. Anyways. I think it's the 10, 11. No, there's a 10, 11. It's okay. I'll just share my story. It's actually about Scarlett Johansson. Back for your question, I think a voice in the AI system, if it's an AI voice, then I think it shouldn't be, copyrightable. Therefore, it shouldn't generate royalties. But if it's a human voice in an AI system, for example, when I talked about Scarlett Johansson, I don't know if any of you remember, there was a movie out called Her. It's about, so Scarlett Johansson is one of the voice in the AI system in the movie Her. So OpenAI Sam Altman, liked the idea. So he asked Scarlett Johansson if OpenAI could use her voice for a chatbot. But Scarlett Johansson declined the offer twice.
So she said no.
But they used it anyway.
They use it anyway.
They used it anyway. So a voice is actually still a talent's trademark. It's part of the trademark. So therefore, Scarlett Johansson wanted to sue OpenAI. And by the time, there's a lot of press on it, and did she sue? No, because OpenAI, by that time, they already took down her voice.
But it raised attention
Yes.
to the subject.
Yes. Therefore, your question, if it's a voice, a human voice on an AI system, it probably should be copyrightable and probably could generate royalties.
Okay. So it really depends on the human contribution as well.
Human contribution, and also, of course, a lot of the AI system, they argue about fair use.
Fair use.
If you have read the news, they talk a lot about fair use, not using paid licensed contents. So fair use meaning that, maybe they could say it's not for commercial use, it's just a criticism, it's a parody, it's it's for news reporting. I only used a very, very small amount, it's not a significant amount. So these kind of factors would be something they could call a fair use exception. Then I could use a licensed, copyrightable material for free.
Okay. I see. It's complicated, though.
It's very complicated and very mucky, blurry waters. Nobody knows the answer yet.
Which makes it interesting, right? Okay. Professor, I have another question for you. So your research actually involves AI and Chinese music, right? So Chinese music, we also refer to some music in the past, traditional Chinese music. So can AI truly innovate, or would it just remix with the past? Yes.
So let's see. I think so the innovation versus remixing question, I think, right, slightly related to my earlier answer about which is why I recommend to you one of my favorite recent book, because it's basically the idea of remixing. And yes, in my work, in my research, I deal with different forms of traditional music, non-Western traditional music. Actually, not just Chinese. A lot of examples of Indian classical music, Irish traditional music, because my training is actually in ethnomusicology, so it deals precisely with music traditions that's beyond the Western, the classical or popular tradition. And know that a lot of traditional music is not copyrighted. So that further complicates the question whether, there's questions of exploitation, of data mining, because just because something is not copyrighted does that mean we can do anything we want, right, with this huge body of work. I think there's a few examples, but it's not responding to my click. Let's see. This is probably...
Can someone help with that?
Yeah. It's moving again. 1 second. Let's see. Is it a... Let's see. Okay.
Oh, that's my slide.
Oh, that's your slide. We found your slide. Do you want to show us? Yeah. So, for instance, this will be quick if we find this slide. Yeah, it's in the. I think we're almost there. Right. So, for instance, we had this back in 2021 again, panel about the AI Song Contest that deals. We invite the teams that in their entry explore cultural traditions beyond. So, for instance, this Korean team is one of my favorite cases where the question they ask in their entry is, can I express a culturally unique, specifically Korean emotion, in this song? So that's basically the whole experiment that they are making in this in their entry. And I think I have 1, 2 examples here for. Right, of course, when it comes to tradition, authenticity is huge. We've mentioned this, right? I have a whole seminar in which I kind of discuss the ideas of authenticity with my students. One of the team I was working with back in Sweden, this is again 2020, 2021, was kind of known for creating this model that's called folk RNN, because it's able to generate very plausible Irish traditional music. So, very celebrated among the tech kind of machine learning community. But here I have a quote from one of the users of folk RNN, who calls this tool the funeral of authenticity caused by heartless computers. So we can definitely see some hostility coming from the traditional music community, right? So how do we deal with that? And I think what Leslie was mentioning about, right, like just how much is the amount of human contribution that will warrant copyright. So this is just this recent updates from Grammy, the Academy Awards, right? It's interesting here for Grammy. Yeah, AI. So basically, the decision is whether there's enough meaningful human work will be recognized, and I think that also ties back to the idea of authenticity.
Can I also ask, is there any tools available now to help us to verify the authenticity and the source owner? Is there any tools helping us on that?
Maybe I can go
Yeah,
first. Or?
yeah, please, Alan. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's it. So I think this is still evolving. There's a lot of areas to develop, but I can share two things around that. Okay. So when we talk about authenticity, you need to verify it or the source of the owner. The best way to do it, or the prerequisite, is to know the journey of the life cycle of that piece of creative, right? That piece of content. Okay, so actually the industry is exploring that, and from Adobe, we actually found a initiative called Content Authenticity. Okay, initiative. Yes, this one. Okay, it's actually an industry. It's actually an industry effort, okay, and right now it's supported by over 1,000 media and technology companies, okay, Sony, and also industry society. To basically what they does is they encourage all those creative to put in what we call the content credentials. Okay, that content credentials is basically a metadata, okay, and that metadata actually records all the interventions of that piece of creative, whether it's come from, originated from a photographer or a machine or Gen AI, and who and what process has it been touched on about that. So you know the whole cycle of it, and that's just like a nutrition tag on the food, right? So you know the history, and from that you can tell the authenticity of that, right? So I think this is a industry effort, an example of the industry effort to try to deal with the authenticity one, okay? And the second point I want to mention is about, we are talking about art, creative, but in general, projects for companies, right? Okay, so it may be difficult for them to deal with, okay, things other than authenticity, like copyright. When I harness the power of Gen AI, right? So, am I sure what the outcome would be infringing any copyright? Okay, so that's just like what we mentioned about a long time ago. People sometimes don't care about the generating software, but over time, there's a journey for them to appreciate the value, and there's a governance whatsoever. For companies who want to harness the power of AI, it's actually, we're at the beginning of that journey. Okay, so that means people are more and more concerned about whether when they use the Gen AI, will that infringe any copyright or bias whatsoever. So that's another question other than just the authenticity. Yeah.
So is clean data something that you also want to mention about as well? Clean data?
Yeah, I don't want to have too much commercial time. But for us, for Adobe, we have our own LLM called Firefly. And the uniqueness of that is we actually just train the data using our own stock portals, the spot library. So we have millions and millions of that. Okay, so because of the input is clean, so the output, meaning all those output by our Gen AI, would be copyright free. Okay. So that would be a peace of mind for those creators or companies to use it. Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah. And the last question for the speakers will be to Leslie, Fineapple. Now we see a lot of like virtual talent, deepfake endorsements in social media. So is virtual influencers rising in popularity, and will brands soon prefer this kind of virtual talents over real human talents? What's your view on that?
About virtual talents, we see quite a bit of virtual talents in the States and Europe already, but not so much in Hong Kong. So there's a talent called Nunori. It's actually a very cute digital avatar. It's a singer. So Warner Music and actually Vogue China also signed the talent onto the roster. And so you probably seen her rubbing shoulders with Ed Sheeran or walking the Versace runway with Kendall Jenner. But in Hong Kong and in Asia, I hope there will be more AI talent soon. But I think, again, back to the topic of, I think people still prefer authenticity and emotional factors in a real human. And I'd like to share a case with you. Also, we talked about Scarlett Johansson. She's actually at the very forefront of all these AI debates. So recently, she had there was a deep fake video out with a lot of Hollywood stars that actually is a campaign against Kanye West. So you can see the middle finger here on her T-shirt. This is actually a fake Scarlett Johansson. But she's actually... her quote is very good. So her take is we must call out on the misuses of AI, no matter whether it's messaging. So she's, of course, up for this campaign, but we risk losing a hold on reality. So I think that's a very good take on deep fakes.
So you're against deepfakes, right?
Of course. As a talent manager...
Just to make sure.
As a talent manager, their name, image, likeness, and the right of publicity and all their trademarks is actually, how we monetize, right? So copywriters, if you're a creator, you have all these exclusive rights to perform, to distribute, to make derivative works. So these are all the good rights you would have. So, this is the perks of having things copyrighted.
Okay. So, suddenly when you talk about that, I have a question for you. For if you score from 1 to 10 in the Hong Kong entertainment and show business, okay, how would you score the industry players from 1 to 10 on how they respect copyright?
I think
in Hong Kong,
we are probably at a 4.
4? Okay. Tell us.
Well, first of all, I don't think a lot of things we copyright. Do we really copyright songs? Do we really copyright movies? Of course, in Hollywood, you have to copyright all the Marvel movies because you have to make a lot of different, merchandises and you have to sell different rights. But I think in Hong Kong, we are a little bit behind on that still.
So there's still room for improvement.
Improvement, and of course, there are more rooms for
awareness
AI.
too. I think first of
Less
all we
rules,
need to
more AI.
we need to raise the awareness of the rights, that people know that we need to respect that and what is the borderline and limitation, and then through education and awareness then we can promote more on that, right? So thank you very much, three of you. I think today we have a wonderful panel showcasing a lot of both local and global examples of how AI can help, support, and expedite and giving more diversity in entertainment and art industry. Yeah, it's a very, very insightful participation. Thank you, and thank you for your participation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Thanks a lot.
Alan.
Thank you
Stacy.
all for your sharing. Let's take a group photo.